Hey y'all, this is Whitney, and welcome back to another episode of Spastic Chatter. Spastic Chatter is a platform meant to feature those in the cerebral palsy community, and I get together with individuals with CP, like myself, to have an uncensored chat, if you will, about what it's like living with this type of disability. And today I have Ali, and he is really big into like Jujitsu and weightlifting and things like that. And I came across his Instagram profile and I thought he was a really rad looking dude. So I wanted to have him on Spastic Chatter. So I will let Ali introduce himself and then we will get on to the conversation. So take it away, Ali.
Cool. Hi, guys. As has already been said, my name is Ali. I'm 24 years of age. I live in West London, England, and I am into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is a martial art, and weightlifting. That about sums me up pretty much.
Awesome. So, like, take me back. Like, what got you into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? That's a tongue twister for me. Jiu-Jitsu and like the weightlifting and all that. What got you into that?
I think, like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think, like when I was younger, I used to be like quite lazy, and I didn't really like myself, and it was kind of for a number of reasons. One, I'd say, is because I was trying to kind of distance myself from my disability, like, because I felt like I didn't really fit in anywhere. And the second one was like because of like people's views and like how I thought that society looked at me, along with the fact that I used to get bullied when I was younger as well. I used to be quite lazy, and then at one point it just kind of clicked that I've got to look at the things that I can control. And the first piece of physical activity I started doing was actually playing football with my friends when I was in secondary school or high school, as you guys call it over there. So they invite me down to play football or soccer, and I gradually started improving. Like when I started playing with them, and at that point, I realized that, look, if I put the work into something, I can get results. And then in about 2019, I started going to the gym, because I'd been going to the gym on and off before then, but 2019 was when I started going gym consistently. So it was about kind of wanting to improve myself, basically. And then in May last year, because I'd always been into martial arts, and I did some research and realized that like BJJ is good for people with CP, and I also realized that I'd have the opportunity to compete as well. So in May last year, I decided to start Jiu-Jitsu, and since then I've been continuing with both. And yeah, I haven't really looked back since. I mean, I'd say that one of the motivations as well was to make myself more attractive to the ladies. Like that was definitely one of the bigger ones as well, because like when you're a teenager, like a young adult, like that's what you want to do. So that was also one of the biggest motivations. But yeah, that's basically it, really.
That's awesome. you said so much. There's some things that kind of stuck out for me. You said that I'm gonna call it what you did, BJJ, so I don't get a tongue twister. You said you did some research and it was beneficial for people with cerebral palsy. Can you kind of explain how it's beneficial?
I think obviously the thing with CP is that as you know, it varies from person to person, but like for me personally, like it's kind of like helped with my mobility and like range of movement and stuff, because in BJJ, like you're put into some mad positions sometimes, like that you're not used to. So like it gets your body like uncomfortable, but in a good way. And like as a result of that, it kind of improves your flexibility and range of movement. So like as a result of that, I found it like slightly easier to do things day to day and stuff. Whether that be like reaching a bit further or like being able to put myself in a certain position that I wasn't able to before, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'd just say it's beneficial in that way, really, because I think in order to improve in anything, you need to make yourself uncomfortable, and then your body adapts as a result. So, and that's what jujitsu is basically. You're always pretty much uncomfortable. So yeah.
I like that. Like so it kind of like stretches you out. It stresses you out, or it stretches you out, like because we're all because with cerebral palsy you're all spastic and tight. So BJJ like stretches you out. That's awesome.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you could put it that way. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, everyone gets stretched out, really, whether you're able-bodied or disabled. Yeah. Like doesn't really matter. But yeah.
That kind of brings me into my next question. Like you go against able-bodied people, correct? Like your opponents are all.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So have you ever gotten like any kind of like pushback because you're disabled and you're going against an able-bodied person? Like, have you ever had like any kind of experience, like negative, positive or negative, with like that kind of dynamic?
I think I've got to give a big shout out to my dojo here and my coach, because like they've been brilliant with me from day one, especially my coach, like my main coach, who I have a very close bond with now. Like one of the first things he said to me was, like, when I met him, was, look, I've never trained somebody like you before. Like I'm gonna be real. Like I've never done it, but like I'm gonna do my best and try my best for you, as long as you give me 100% as a student. That's all I ask for in return. And I said, yeah, okay. And one of the things I love about my coach is that he always tells everyone, like, when we're sparring, like, do not take it easy on this guy. Like, there's no point doing that, because I'm quite strong as well. So, but the one thing I would say is that the brilliant thing about jujitsu, or any martial art for that matter, is that when you go onto the mats or you go to train, your circumstances become irrelevant. Everyone's there for the same goal. Like whether you're disabled, able-bodied, you're a beginner, you're a black belt, that doesn't matter. Like everyone's there to chase the same goal. And I think that's the brilliant thing about it, because it's the only place where I feel like my disability, like, isn't of any relevance, basically. And another thing that I would say is that I get to change people's perceptions of what it's like having a disability before they even get a chance to form one. Because like when I spar with people, like you can tell that they might be thinking one thing, but then like as soon as they realize how strong I am, like you can see the change of expression on their face. So and then now everybody knows yeah, you can't mess with this guy because he's serious, and everyone just goes hard on me now. But that's what I want, because I'd rather get submitted 10 times because somebody's going hard on me, rather than allowing me to win, like just because. It shouldn't be that way, especially because I want to compete as well. So yeah, big shout out to my coach. My academy is great because I've had like no negative experience. It's all been positive really. So I guess I'm lucky in that sense.
Awesome. So like, yeah, my takeaway from what you said is like you don't want like it shows people they don't need to like pity you like or like because and then you just prove that you're equal, that you're there to perform, and then you basically like if they have any doubts, you basically just like you basically just shut them up like I could really watch this and you like perform. So that's really cool.
Thanks a lot.
What I'm curious, so what like when did you start like sharing your journey on social media, and how did that what kind of feedback do you get from social media?
So I started sharing my fitness journey about September 2019. I actually started my page months before that, but I didn't get it going until about September 2019. And like just to add to this, I really like this question because I've been on a lot of podcasts, and like it's the first time somebody's asked me a question about my social media. Usually I get the same type of question, so well done on that one. But I love it, man. People think that social media is a bad place, and don't get me wrong, it can be, but for me, like it's allowed me to connect with so many people, like both able-bodied and disabled, like people that are like me, disabled content creators, and I've had parents of children with cerebral palsy like reach out to me and say that like my kid watches your videos and is motivated by you, and that for me is the biggest reward, because part of the reason I started this journey was because growing up I didn't have an example to look up to because social media wasn't as big back then. So one of my biggest goals with this journey was to give back to the next generation. Like I mean, my improvements, that's just a bonus for me, like but the biggest thing for me is giving back to the next generation and being that example that I didn't have as a kid. So when I receive messages like from mothers with children that have CP, or like anyone with CP saying that like they're motivated, or they kind of realize that they can make something of themselves, like you know, that's the biggest reward for me, because for me it's all about giving back to the next generation and paving the way for them so that it's easier like once they grow up and like they're in our position. So yeah, it's been great. I've loved it. I hope to continue growing my page because I want to make this athlete thing a full-time thing. I really love what I do. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I love it. I love it.
That's awesome. And I love how you said that you want to keep it going, like for the next generations. Like you want to be that motivation for the next generation. And I love how you specifically used the word motivation instead of inspiration, because I believe that there's differences between those two words. Like motivation leads to like leads motivation leads to actual change and move and like a person like doing something.
Right.
Like inspiration, like you can inspiration is just like you just like tell a person that you like and that they inspire you. But what does that inspiration lead to? Or you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that, because I always ask people this as well. Like whenever they say like I'm an inspiration, and look, I don't mind being called an inspiration, but the thing for me is like, okay, if I am an inspiration, like what's the reason why you're calling me that?
Yeah, exactly.
And then also to go along with that, okay, if I've inspired you, what have I inspired you to do exactly? Like that's the way I see it. Like inspiration is only good if it leads to action. If it leads to no action, it means that you're being inspired by me for the wrong reasons. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like if I inspired you just because I got up in the morning, and you see my disabled life as like a hardship, so I inspire you. Like I'm just living my life, and like I know, like I don't know any different. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like to be in your shoes. I don't know what it's like to be able-bodied. I know what it's personally like for me to be disabled, and this is the only way. This is the only life that I know. So I don't see me just living my life as being an inspiration, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like call me. I always say this as well. Call me an inspiration for doing something inspirational. Don't call me an inspiration just for existing.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So what are some of your future goals? Like you kind of hinted at it. But like, what say like 5 years from now, where do you want to be?
It's funny because I don't really like looking that far into the future. Like I'm kind of more of a like I set myself kind of small goals and then work towards a bigger one. Like I don't really set any time frames on it, but in terms of like future goals, I mean, one of my goals is to definitely become one of the first people with cerebral palsy to gain a black belt in Jujitsu. That's definitely what I want to do. And then also, I want to make the sport more inclusive, because I want to take part in both para and able-bodied competitions. I want to take part in both. So through that, I hope to make the sport more inclusive, and I hope to pave the way for people with a range of disabilities, not specifically just CP, but people with a range of disabilities to take up the sport. And then, yeah, along with that, just make this athlete thing like a full-time thing where like I can hopefully like make money like off of my Instagram, but for the right reasons, not this like these rubbish influencers. I want to be like influencing for the correct reasons, not for the wrong reasons. But yeah, that's what I want for the future. Really, that black belt is really important to me. I really want to get there, and I'm putting the work in. I've actually got my first competition coming up August 20th. So that's going to be the first time I compete. And I'm training and working really hard behind the scenes. So it's one step towards the ultimate goal, if you like.
Very cool. So I always ask my guests at the end of every interview if they have any advice for those watching that might be in a similar position as themselves, or like any kind of like life advice in general. So, Ali, do you have any advice for those watching?
I think my number one piece of advice, and this applies to anyone really, not just those with disabilities. I'd say just learn to be comfortable in your own skin. Learn to accept your situation and work with your situation, no matter what that is, because once you do that, it will give you the foundation to build confidence, and when you build confidence, everything grows from there. So just be comfortable in your own skin, and also if you want something, pester people, be persistent. Like, don't take no for an answer, because like people will say no, but you're only one yes away. So yeah, just be persistent, keep going, set yourself goals, and get after it, man. That's the advice I'd give.
That's very good advice. That's something I always said. Like the worst that could happen if you put yourself out there. The worst that could happen is like somebody says no. Like that's pretty much it. So I love that advice as well. Where can people follow you on social media?
So you can find me on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is at specs. So that's SPECS_fitness BJJ. So you can find me on there, follow me on there. I post content every day, and I'll be posting highlights of my competition as well. So watch out for that one. And yeah, give me a follow, guys.
Very cool. I will put that in the description as well. Thank you, Ali, for being a guest on Spastic Chatter. I really enjoyed talking with you. And if for anyone that's watching this, if you want to be a guest, I would love to have you. So comment wherever you see this video, and check back periodically for another episode of Spastic Chatter. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.